Relentless attacks on religious liberties are increasing across America, and a Judge Brett Kavanaugh confirmation on the Supreme Court is one of the few things that could help protect our most basic freedoms. There's a problem. When pro football players can kneel on the field in protest of the national anthem, but high school football players are not allowed to kneel and pray for a little girl with a life-threatening illness. That's next. Well, we can now add the description heartless to the left in the agenda of the Freedom From Religion Foundation. Their goal is to force into silence hundreds of millions of Americans who believe in prayer to never utter a word of it in public. Keep your religion to yourself and stay behind church walls. Well, the most recent story comes from Lake City, Michigan, where they've been holding family circles after football games for over a decade. Coaches recognize players, and prayer is typically not part of it, but last month, the players and others gathered on the field at midnight to pray for the coach's sick child who's in the hospital. It was a special moment of strength and unity. The video was proudly shared on the school Facebook page, and that's what triggered the radicals from Madison, Wisconsin, who immediately sent a threatening letter to the school district. Quote, "It is unlawful, and the school district must not schedule, promote, or endorse prayer of any kind at school-sponsored events, including football games." End quote. Well, the bullies took it a step further, saying that not only must coaches refrain from encouraging students to pray, they must not even be involved while students are praying. Remember, the prayer was for the coach's daughter. On the advice of legal counsel, however, the school reluctantly removed the offending video from Facebook. The superintendent was rightly concerned about being fined or sued because the left uses intimidation by singling out small schools and towns that don't have the financial resources to fight back. Bullies, right? They say Christians are hateful. But here's the Freedom From Religion Foundation bullying another small community, this time because they prayed for a very sick little girl. Next, maybe you've heard of Coach Joe Kennedy from Bremerton, Washington. For 7 years, he had been saying a prayer of thanksgiving midfield following high school football games after most people had left. He would often be joined by players from both schools, voluntarily, by the way. But even though the school district knew it was a voluntary prayer, it claimed the activity fell under the establishing of a religion. Kennedy then asked if he could simply kneel for 15 seconds in silence after players all left the field. Well, rather than allow this simple request, the school district refused to renew his contract. He filed a claim of religious discrimination and then filed a federal lawsuit, which sadly was dismissed by the Ninth Circus. And it's quite common for Christians in the public school system to have to check their beliefs at the door. This is the new America. Why is this important? Well, this week, the Supreme Court is deciding whether or not to hear the case of Coach Kennedy's appeal. Each year, the court holds a long conference in late September, and they choose cases for the upcoming term. Hopefully, this case will be heard. The nomination of Supreme Court justices has major implications that echo throughout the culture for generations. Now, though abortion is front and center in the Brett Kavanaugh Senate hearings, cases will also be decided on whether it is legal for us to pray, acknowledge God, share the gospel. Extremists should not be allowed to silence anyone, but this is what's happening. The freedom of speech and religious expression are basic liberties granted to Americans under the Constitution. That's if the Constitution is upheld. I'm David Fiorazo. God bless you and keep speaking the truth about things that matter.